Rooster Teeth. Countless shows, millions of subs, billions of views. Rooster Teeth is a juggernaut in the online entertainment industry. But did you know that the company almost died before they even started? We almost didn't get Rooster Teeth, Achievement Hunter, Funhaus, Red vs. Blue, RWBY, and all the other things we love. How did this happen? Well, it all started many years ago, all the way back in 2003. Rooster Teeth started when two groups of people, the tech friends and the film friends, both came together to make a show, with Bernie being the magic that makes it all complete. At the time, people viewed internet videos and movies as the scum of the entertainment industry. So naturally, the Rooster Teeth crew was like, that's us! So when Bernie was making Halo videos, he noticed that if you took Halo gameplay, and then letterboxed out the health and ammo, and then the gun, it kinda looked like an animated movie. So he thought, we can make something out of this. And he pitched the idea to Jeff and Gus, his friends who knew a lot about making websites. Now, we know this method of animation as machinima, but at the time, none of them had ever heard of it. So pretend you've never heard of Red vs. Blue, or machinima, or YouTube before, and Bernie tells you this. I want to make a story, and I want to use the game to make that story. I know the game already has a story, but that's not the story I want to tell. I want to tell another story, but use the game that already has its own story. We're just going to ignore that story and pretend it doesn't exist. You following me? And they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? So Bernie made a trailer as a proof of concept to convince them it wasn't a terrible idea. And he showed them this.
Huh. What'd you think about that? Yeah, I think somebody owes me the last 2 minutes of my life back.
And this short little 5-second clip was the start of Rooster Teeth. So Jeff and Gus agreed and headed over to Bernie's place. And it was here that they recorded the first ever episode of Red vs. Blue.
Hey,
Yeah?
you ever wonder why we're out here?
So when they started making it, they used controllers to operate the characters like puppets, with each actor on screen. And because they puppeted the characters around using controllers, they would inevitably end up with a massive tangle of wires. So it quickly went from a fun little project to basically a second job. And in the words of Jeff Ramsey, when most things turn to work, Gus finds a way to exit the room. So Gus packed up his things and moved to Puerto Rico. But since he voiced a character, Bernie still needed him to record lines. So what Bernie did was, he would call Gus and then put him on speakerphone, then hold his microphone up to the speaker and record the lines that way. Which obviously sounded like wank, but they didn't have much of a choice. And what made it even better was that since Gus's lines sounded like this, they had to make everyone's lines sound like that, so that they stayed consistent.
That's because we're fighting each other. No, but I mean, even if we were to pull out today, and they were to come take our base?
3 and then go.
On 3. It's always faster to go on 3.
Okay, on 3. Here!
So that's why the voices in Red vs. Blue sound like that. Crazy, right? I totally thought they were just talking over crappy radios. But no, Gus being a huge pain in Bernie's ass is the reason why we have these iconic Red vs. Blue voices. So it goes without saying that making the show was a complete nightmare for them. But they made it work. And after a lot of long sleepless nights, they were finally ready and started posting the episodes on their website. Bernie didn't expect too much from it, and originally planned for only a few episodes. In fact, the most Bernie had ever hoped that would come from this show was that it would end up as an Easter egg in the next game. And oh boy, was he really undershooting. Because when they posted it, the first episode got 3,000 views. And they were like, oh damn. But then the show started getting spread around the web, and suddenly, the next episode got 250,000 views. And they were like, whoa. Then they put out the next one, and that one got 1 million views. And they were like, whoa. And all of a sudden, this random ass show on the internet started getting millions of watchers every single episode. And they were like, holy fuck, what is happening? This show is getting spread all over the place. People were sending links, watching it with their friends, talking about it at school and work. The show was sending shockwaves across the internet. So many people were watching that it brought down their servers. So it was pretty obvious that the crew had a full-blown hit, and what they started was really something special. So their show was being watched by millions, and can you guess what their budget was? Well, the only things Bernie had to buy that he didn't already own were extra controllers and another copy of Halo, bringing the grand total budget to a whopping $110. Fucking get out of here, Marvel movies. You think you're high budget? But that was just kind of the nature of this type of animation. It was pretty cheap. And speaking of this type of animation, they needed to name this brand new art form, and they decided to call it Render Vision. What? You thought it was machinima? This isn't machinima, you uncultured heathen. This is RenderVision, a completely new and revolutionary art form made by Red vs. Blue that has never been done before in the history of the world. But then, they were eventually contacted by the Academy of Machinima Arts and Sciences, who told them that it's not called RenderVision, it's machinima, they're not the first ones to do this, and that they in fact are the idiots. But there's also a pretty important question to ask here. How the hell did this get so successful? Why did this random show about idiots in a canyon go so viral? Well, this is for a bunch of reasons, like how it was made using a game that was extremely popular, but also because the show was just genuinely really funny.
You're just one big headache, and I got a whole pistol full of aspirin.
What?
I got half a mind to kill you.
That's ridiculous.
And the other half agrees.
Trick's such a stupid.
But there was another reason. They were really the only people making content like this, because Bernie and Matt had made a movie in college, but they struggled so hard to get it in theaters, so people couldn't even watch the movie they worked so hard on. But on the internet, you can post something, and people will spread it on their own, and it'll grow organically. That's the strength of internet content. It was like this completely untapped goldmine. But the reason no one in the entertainment industry was doing stuff on the web was because they viewed internet entertainment as the trash of the industry. So they'd be like, oh, you make straight-to-DVD and web shows? Pfft, loser. We make actual films? So when the Red vs. Blue crew started doing internet stuff, they discovered this entire area of entertainment that was completely untouched. So they found a niche and leaned hard into it. And with this newfound success, popularity, and passion, they were living the dream. But there was a problem. Remember how I said the audience got so big it broke their servers? Well, that may sound pretty good, but it actually led to a really big issue. One that was going to put them out of business. Because now, you can just upload a video to YouTube and not even have to think about it. But this was the early 2000s. If you wanted to post a video on the internet, you had to host it yourself, on your own servers. And what this meant was, every time someone downloaded and watched an episode, it costed them money. And with millions of people watching every week, it was starting to add up. And about a month into making the show, they got a new bill for their internet bandwidth. And they looked at the bill, and they were charged $13,000. And they were like, oh my god, we have to pay how much? So Gus did some calculations to forecast approximately how much they were going to have to pay moving forward. And they were going to have to pay around $20,000 to $30,000 per month. And they were like, oh my god, that's it. We're fucked. We're fucked. Because remember, Red vs. Blue was just a fun hobby for them. And now it was going to cost them tens of thousands per month. So now they had a choice to make. Either keep the show going and lose all their money, or end the show and abandon all the fans. So they were like, well, what are we going to do? We're going to have to shut the show down. There's no way we can afford this. What are we going to do? So they thought, well, if we want to keep doing this, we have to figure out a way to make money off of it. So they came up with an idea that they were really worried about: sponsorships. The idea was, you could watch the show for free, but if you paid, you could get the episodes early and get some extra stuff. And they were hoping that maybe if people signed up, they could actually afford the bills. But there was a problem with this. Now, with stuff like Patreon and Kickstarter, this may seem like a no-brainer. But the mentality of the internet back then was, everything on the internet should be free. If you're asking for money, then you're greedy and we're gonna leave. Screw you. And they were really worried that this is what the reaction to the sponsorships was gonna be. That the audience they'd worked so hard to build was going to abandon them. So when the Red vs. Blue crew started building the sponsorship program, they were very transparent about it. They told the audience that the server bills were going to run them out of business and kill the show, and that they needed some way to pay the costs, but they had no idea if it would actually work. So once the sponsorship was ready to go, Bernie and Jeff were at their day jobs, and they were stressing about it hard. And after all this stressing out, Bernie was just like, you know what? Let's just launch it. Let's just do it. Let's just launch it and stop worrying about it, and let's just do it. But Bernie said it in a way that whenever someone signed up for his sponsorship, he'd get an alert on his computer and it'd make a cha-ching sound. So whenever he heard the, that meant they got a sponsor. So they were hoping that they were going to hear it at least once. But now it was the moment of truth. What would happen here would determine the future of the show. So they launched it and Bernie was like, okay, there it goes. We did it. Okay, what do we do now? Let's get some food. So they went to lunch to try to take their minds off of it. But you can't not stress about something like this. And they both had a moment where they were like, are we gonna be able to keep the show? We don't want to stop making it. And Bernie was like, I mean, there's gotta be some people out there who'll support us, right? Right? So they both sat there, hoping, just hoping that things would work out. Then suddenly, Bernie's phone started ringing. It was someone from the office. So Bernie picked up, and the guy was like, Bernie, where are you? Where are you right now? And Bernie was like, what? I'm at lunch. What's wrong? And the guy was like, you need to come back to the office. Right now. We need you here right now. And Bernie was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What the hell happened? And the guy said, it's your computer. Something's wrong with it. And Bernie was like, oh shit, like broken? And the guy was like, no. It keeps making this weird sound, this cash register sound. It's been going nonstop and it's still going. Listen. Bernie, what is this? What the hell's going on? What do we do? Bernie? And Bernie put down the phone, looked at Jeff, and was like, Jeff, you're not gonna believe this. Because the fans saw that the guys needed support, and they were like, oh, you guys need help? We got you. And fans from all over the community were showing the support, signing up, giving them money, spreading the word, and the crew saw this, and they were just completely blown away at what they were watching. One fan even gave them hundreds of dollars. A sponsorship was $20, so they were like, hey dude, you gave us way too much money, we'll send you the rest back. But the fan responded, no. You guys have given me so much laughter and happiness the past couple weeks. Keep it. So when at their lowest point, the fans were there for them. And with this newfound support and funds, in the first year, they not only had enough money to pay the bills, but they had enough money to make a second season. So things were looking really good. But it doesn't stop there, because now that the money was coming in, it was time to officially turn the production into a company. They could have easily named themselves Red vs. Blue Productions, but they wanted to be a company that made more than just Red vs. Blue, so they had to come up with a different name. And in the trailer, there was an insult, cockbite, and fans thought it was really funny, latched onto it, and started calling themselves the cockbites. So they'd be like, oh, you watch Red vs. Blue? Oh my god, are you a cockbite? I'm also a cockbite. We're all cockbites. So the crew thought it'd be a great idea to name themselves Cockbite Productions, naming the company after the fans who saved them. But when Bernie tried to make it official, the Texas government was like, you are not naming your company Cockbite, so he couldn't do it. Lame. I didn't know the Texas government was a bunch of squares. So to get around this, Bernie came up with the name Rooster Teeth. Cock, rooster, bite, teeth. Cockbite, Rooster Teeth. And thus was born the company named Rooster Teeth, a name they surely wouldn't regret years later. Now that Rooster Teeth was taking off, they all had hard decisions to make, because they all still had day jobs. Matt had a successful career in the film industry, Bernie was the president of a tech company, and Jeff was going to be vice president. And while Rooster Teeth was their passion, it was so unknown, uncertain. They were managing now, but what about later? Months from now, they could all be rich, successful company owners, or they could all be homeless. So they had to ask themselves, should we leave our stable jobs for Rooster Teeth? Well, one by one, they all started coming. The entire time, they worked like every day would be their last. But ultimately, they did it because Red vs. Blue felt special to them. And as much as it scared them, it also made them excited and passionate. So it was hard for them, but they made it work. And after many years of hard work, we got the Rooster Teeth we have today. And by the way, the company the guys quit to do Rooster Teeth, well, that company is now known as One Support. It started as just a handful of people when they were working there, but now it has thousands of employees and is a very successful and very profitable company. So if they stayed, they would have been president and vice president of an insanely rich company. So did they make the right decision after all? Ooh. Well, I think they did. If these guys never took that leap and made this show, we would never have gotten what we have now. Think of all the times Rooster Teeth, Achievement Hunter, Funhaus, and everyone else in the family made you laugh, made you cry, made you upset and frustrated, all the friends we all made because of this community. None of those things would have happened if it weren't for these few people who took a chance and risked everything to make this. So thanks guys. Whether or not you still work at Rooster Teeth, what you did all those years ago, and all the work you still do makes our lives so much brighter.
colors are nice.
No, I mean, like, why are we even bothering with the video for this?
Well,
I mean,
because you never know. I mean, it might be funny. I mean, this video is actually pretty interesting looking, and you know, if it gets popular enough, we can just. You never know.
the making of
Behind the scenes,
Why not
you know.
take it, right?
Yeah.